In Japan, at a time when science was still undeveloped, unexplained phenomena were often believed to be the work of beings from an invisible world. For example, strange noises heard at night are usually caused by wood drying and cracking as a house settles. However, people once believed these sounds were made by a small oni called yanari, shaking the building from within. There are also times at night when, if you casually glance at a shoji screen, countless eyeballs seem to appear on its surface. In reality, this is a type of optical illusion known as the Bergen illusion, in which intersections of dark lines appear to glow like eyes. In the past, people who saw shoji screens illuminated by moonlight believed this phenomenon to be a yokai called mokumoku-ren. There are many such stories in which yokai were blamed for mysterious events. However, while yokai may frighten people or make them uneasy, those that curse and kill humans or cause serious harm are actually quite rare. There are also beings that exist somewhere between yokai and gods. The most typical examples are Fujin, the wind god, and Raijin, the thunder god. In ancient Japan, firefighting technology was underdeveloped, and most homes were made of wood. Because of this, lightning was a great source of fear for people. A single lightning strike could easily start a fire, sometimes burning entire towns or villages to the ground in an instant. At the same time, thunderclouds also brought life-giving rain that nurtured crops. Lightning was therefore both feared and revered, as it was believed to bring abundant harvests. For this reason, thunder became an object of worship. It was believed that the sound of thunder was caused by Raijin striking the many drums he carried on his back, and that this released stored energy down to the earth as lightning. In old Japan, epidemics were believed to be carried by the wind. Fujin was feared as the embodiment of such disease-bearing winds, yet like Raijin, he was also worshipped. This is because Fujin was thought not only to bring destructive winds, but also to blow away thunderclouds and protect people from lightning. In Japan, there exists a yokai known as the Oni, a being that symbolizes all forms of calamity, disease, disasters, enemies, and misfortune. Unlike most yokai, Oni are merciless beings that indiscriminately kill people and cause severe destruction, making them figures of absolute evil. The fact that Fujin and Raijin resemble Oni in appearance can be seen as a reflection of their destructive aspects, causing fires or spreading disease. However, because they also bring great benefits to humanity, they came to be worshipped as gods. Shrines dedicated to Fujin and Raijin can be found throughout Japan. At Sensoji Temple in Asakusa, one of Tokyo's most famous tourist destinations, statues of Fujin and Raijin are enshrined on the left and right sides of the iconic Kaminarimon, Thunder Gate. In addition to other inhabitants of the other world, there exists a being known as Yurei. A Yurei is believed to be the spirit of a person who died while harboring intense resentment, hatred, or unfulfilled regret. Unable to attain peace or pass on to the afterlife, such a spirit remains in this world, cursing the living, bringing misfortune, and at times even causing death, forever waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. Traditionally, it was believed that the souls of the dead were guided to the next world. However, if a person met an unjust death, was betrayed, or died consumed by deep hatred, their soul was thought to be unable to find rest. Such a soul would linger in the human world as a Yurei, endlessly wandering the living realm. Those who committed brutal murders were sometimes said to later lose their sanity. Today, this might be explained as PTSD. But in the past, such madness was believed to be caused by a vengeful Yurei possessing the perpetrator. Japanese Yurei are often depicted wearing a white kimono. This comes from traditional burial garments worn by the dead and strongly signifies that the figure is no longer of this world. Some Yurei wear a white triangular cloth on their forehead. This is another element associated with funerary customs and the afterlife. One of the most famous traits. Although the Yurei appears to be standing, everything below the knees is missing. This visually represents the idea that Yurei cannot fully exist in the physical world and are inherently unstable beings. Female Yurei in particular are portrayed with long black hair hanging down in front of their faces. In the Edo period, it was considered abnormal for women to appear in public with their hair down, so this style emphasized unnaturalness, madness, and deep resentment. Some Yurei have blank, hollow eyes and emotionless faces, while others glare with intense resentment. Their emotions feel subtly out of sync with those of the living, creating an eerie discomfort. Yurei are depicted with pale or bluish skin, lacking warmth or blood. In some depictions, the background can be seen through their bodies, reinforcing that they are not living humans. Rather than walking, Yurei drift slightly above the ground. They are often shown as beings unconstrained by physical laws. People in the Edo period frequently encountered dead bodies, and the position of a corpse's hands was sometimes remembered vividly. This memory was incorporated into Yurei imagery. The downward pointing fingers represent hands that are no longer alive, hands that cannot pray or hold anything. Not all Yurei illustrations use this gesture, but when they do, it symbolizes that the figure belongs firmly to the other side. Along the main highways marking the northern and southern entrances to Edo stood large execution grounds. These sites are believed to have served not only as places of punishment, but also as public warnings, meant to intimidate criminals attempting to slip into the city from outside. At the northern execution ground in particular, the bodies of the executed were left exposed. Weasels and dogs tore at the remains, creating a scene described as nothing short of hellish. People avoided the area unless absolutely necessary. It was also here that Yamada Asimon, the official executioner responsible for beheadings, tested swords entrusted to him by high-ranking samurai. Because of this, the site came to be colloquially known as Otamashiba, the testing ground. According to one theory, as many as 200,000 people were executed at this location by one of these methods, and it is said that nearly 30% of them were victims of false accusations. If souls of those who die with deep resentment become Yurei, few places could be more fitting than this one. The northeast direction is known in Japan as the Kimon, Demon Gate, and has long been regarded as ominous. This northern execution ground lay precisely to the northeast of Edo Castle. For that reason, it was not only shunned because of its horrific sights and smells, but also feared psychologically as a cursed land where yokai and yurei were believed to appear. To pray for the souls of criminals who were executed, a massive Jizo statue was erected at this execution ground. This is the very Jizo that witnessed the executions. Having witnessed countless executions, the Jizo still stands there today, quietly watching over what is now the former site of the execution ground. In Japanese Yurei stories and traditional ghost paintings, depictions of spirits emerging from wells appear with striking frequency. In Edo period Japan, unused wells were sometimes used to dispose of murder victims in an attempt to conceal crimes. Additionally, the heads of those executed by beheading were customarily washed in wells. The prevalence of ghost paintings showing spirits rising from wells may not be unrelated to these practices. Even today, there are 5 wells in Tokyo said to have been used to wash severed heads. These places are still recognized by many as sites where the presence of ghosts can be felt. It is not widely known, but even today, Tokyo still quietly preserves several former execution grounds from the Edo period. These sites contain not only old wells, but also the actual platforms once used for burning at the stake and crucifixion, as well as Jizo statues erected to pray for the souls of criminals who met unjust deaths, all of which still remain. As an aside, one staff member, someone with absolutely no interest in spiritual matters, was scheduled to visit one of these locations for research. The moment he stepped out of his home, he was suddenly struck with severe lower back pain and was forced to cancel. Strangely, immediately after informing the team that he could not go, the pain disappeared. About 2 weeks later, the schedule was adjusted. During that period, while living his life as usual, he experienced 2 strange incidents. The first occurred while he was walking home and climbing a narrow staircase with walls on both sides. A middle-aged man behind him spoke to him for some time. When he turned around, there was no one there. The second incident happened at home. While relaxing on his sofa with the window open, he heard the sound of a young girl crying directly beside his ear from outside the window. He lives on the 6th floor. In both cases, he assumed it was just his imagination and did not think much of it. 2 weeks later, when he finally headed to the site for the rescheduled visit, he was suddenly overcome with an intense sense of fatigue running from his neck to his shoulders. Unable to postpone again, he pressed on and arrived at the location, where he was struck by an overwhelming sadness unlike anything he had ever felt before. Nothing decisive happened after that. However, even he, someone with no belief or interest in spiritual matters, felt strongly that there was something present at that place, and that it was, quite naturally, a site where disrespectful or frivolous behavior should never be allowed. For those interested in Edo period punishments and the realities of execution grounds, we have prepared a guidebook that explores these topics in detail. Near the northern execution grounds of Edo mentioned earlier, there stood the largest licensed pleasure district in the city, Yoshiwara. Beyond Yoshiwara's sole entrance, the Yoshiwara Omon, Great Gate, lay a world of overwhelming splendor, said to be utterly different from the world on this side of the gate. Yoshiwara functioned as a social hub for people of high status and a center for cultural exchange, yet its fundamental role was that of the pleasure industry. Many of the women who worked there had been sold by their families or were utterly alone in the world and forced by circumstance to work there simply to survive. Until their contracts were fulfilled or a wealthy patron appeared to buy out their freedom, they were not permitted to leave through that gate. Thus, the view seen by customers arriving through the Yoshiwara Omon and the view seen by courtesans gazing out from inside the district toward the outside world were complete opposites. Those who accumulated debt, defaulted on their contracts, grew too old to attract customers, or died from venereal diseases, with no family or anyone to rely on, were discarded at a nearby temple as if thrown away. People came to call this place Nagekomi Dera, the throwing-in temple. It is said that those who died with lingering attachments to this world, filled with resentment and sorrow, could not find peace and became ghosts. At this temple, burial mounds and memorial stones were erected to console these women and to lay them to rest in peace. Beneath the eaves of the mound's small roof, items such as lipstick and hair ties are left as offerings. Even today, the former site of Yoshiwara continues to function as a pleasure district. These objects are believed to be belongings the women wore in life, remnants of what they left behind. Spirits believed to harbor strong attachment or lingering regret toward the place where they died, or a specific location, and to remain there without leaving are known as earthbound spirits. This state is said to occur when a person cannot understand or accept their own death. Even wandering spirits that settle permanently in a particular place are also classified as earthbound spirits. When mysterious phenomena, strange occurrences, or repeated accidents follow fatal accidents or murder sites, memorial monuments or jizo statues are sometimes erected to console the dead. Shinjuku is Tokyo's largest entertainment district. Just one stop away, about 3 minutes by train, is Nakano Station. The northern part of Nakano Ward is said to have once been the site of large-scale samurai battles. During land development in this area, countless damaged weapons and human bones were discovered. To mourn the samurai who died here, numerous burial mounds and memorial jizo statues were built within a relatively small area. In some cases, jizo statues were even erected within apartment complex grounds. According to one theory, these were built because strange phenomena continued to occur in the surrounding area. In the heart of Tokyo, surrounded by towering skyscrapers and located just minutes from both the Imperial Palace and Tokyo Station, there exists a cursed vacant lot where no building can be constructed, despite being some of the most valuable land in the city. Here it is. A vacant lot facing a wide road and surrounded on 3 sides by high-rise buildings seems to suggest that something once stood there, or that something is there still. This is the memorial for Tyranno Masakado. Despite it being a weekday, a steady stream of worshippers continues to visit. Tyranno Masakado was a warrior of the Kanto region during the mid-Heian period. He proclaimed himself the new emperor and sought to establish an independent state separate from the imperial court. But his rebellion was suppressed in roughly 2 months. On March 25, 940, at Kitayama in Sarushima, Shimosa province, near present-day Bando City in Ibaraki Prefecture, he was defeated by allied forces led by Taira no Sadamori and Fujiwara no Hidesato, and was killed after being struck by an arrow. According to legend, his severed head was displayed at Shichijo Kawara in Kyoto. It is said that even after several months, the head kept its eyes wide open and appeared to grind its teeth. One night, the head is said to have emitted a white glow and flown eastward in search of its body, eventually losing strength and falling to the ground. That place is said to be this vacant lot. This mound is believed to mark the spot where Masakado's head fell from the sky. Up to this point, the story sounds like nothing more than a familiar and fantastical legend. However, what made this location one of the most feared taboo sites in Japan were the events that followed. In 1923, when the Ministry of Finance attempted to build a temporary office building on this land, a series of mysterious deaths occurred among construction workers, ministry employees, and even Korekiyo Hayasaka, who was serving as Minister of Finance in the first Wakatsuki cabinet at the time. Rumors spread within the ministry that these incidents were caused by Masakado's curse. To calm the unrest, the temporary building was dismantled and a memorial monument was erected. In March 1928, the Ministry of Finance itself held a pacification ceremony for his spirit. 17 years later, the Ministry of Finance building was destroyed by a fire caused by a lightning strike. After Japan's surrender in the Pacific War, the General Headquarters, GHQ, which effectively governed Japan during the Allied occupation, attempted to remove and redevelop this site as part of post-war urban reconstruction, since it obstructed land reorganization in the Marunouchi and Otemachi areas. During the work, however, a U.S. military bulldozer overturned, throwing the driver to his death. There had already been multiple accidents, injuring Japanese laborers, so the surrounding area was investigated. In front of the overturned bulldozer, workers discovered a tomb-like structure half buried in the ground, causing an uproar. It was later identified by Masazo Endo, then head of the local neighborhood association, as the monument marking Masakado's severed head. After repeated petitions to the GHQ authorities, the demolition of the mound was halted. As a result, even as the Otemachi area developed into a dense office district filled with high-rise buildings, Masakado's head mound has survived to this day, neither demolished nor relocated. As an aside, it is said that the reason worshippers continue to visit even on weekdays is not only to pray for Masakado's repose, but also because the return of Masakado's head has led to a belief that the shrine grants blessings of returning to one's former position, particularly for those who have been demoted or transferred within their companies. Even in modern Japan, where science has advanced and phenomena once feared have been explained, such as house noises being attributed to the cracking of drying wood, the yokai mokumoku-ren dismissed as an optical illusion, and gods like Fujin and Raijin understood as personifications of natural phenomena, Yurei remain in a category of their own. Many people still fear them genuinely. In Japan's real estate industry, properties where a murder or fatal accident has occurred are typically sold at prices 30 to 50% below market value. Few people wish to own such properties, even for investment purposes. This is because it is believed that, even if one does not live there personally, simply owning the property may invite the Yurei of the deceased, bringing misfortune and lowering one's luck. By law, when selling such properties, sellers are required to inform buyers in advance that the property has a psychological defect, a stigmatizing history. In the case of rental apartments, however, this disclosure obligation generally disappears for tenants after 3 years have passed since the murder or fatal accident. As a result, websites have even emerged that list properties across Japan where such incidents occurred in the past. This illustrates just how strong the sense of aversion toward Yurei remains in Japanese society. Since ancient times, Japan has been said to be a land where Yaoyorozu no Kami, the 8 million gods, and Chimimoryo, supernatural beings, coexist. Across Japan, there are many places where the boundary between this world and the other world is dangerously blurred. Even in areas near Tokyo, there are countless locations. Thickets that once entered, you will never emerge from alive. Places that are said to inevitably curse those who visit. And mountains where spirits are believed to gather. If this interests you, please check the description box for more details. Thank you very much for watching until the end.
Japan Bee is a channel that randomly shares information about lesser-known aspects of Japanese culture, spanning across various genres.